Alright, so Marvel decided to absolutely bombard us with announcements this week. We're talking Thanos returning, new Black Panther casting news, more Spider-Man 4 villains, and a Daredevil Born Again Season 2 trailer supposedly dropping any day now. And I know what you're thinking, oh great, more Marvel news, this is so exciting. But hold on, because not all of these announcements are good. In fact, I'd argue that half of them reveal some pretty concerning trends about where Marvel is heading. So in this video, I'm going to rank every major MCU announcement from this week, worst to best, and I'm going to explain why some of these have me genuinely worried about the future of the MCU. Because yes, some of this stuff is exciting on the surface, but when you actually think about what these announcements mean, when you look at the pattern they reveal, it becomes pretty clear that Marvel is falling back into some old habits that got them into trouble in the first place. Coming in at number 5, the worst announcement of the week. Thanos is returning in Avengers Secret Wars, and I can already hear some of you getting mad at me. What do you mean this is bad? Thanos is the greatest MCU villain of all time. Josh Brolin is incredible. This is going to be amazing. But here's my problem with this. How many times are we going to kill Thanos? Seriously, let's count. He died twice in Endgame. Once when Thor chopped his head off, and once when Tony snapped him away. Then Infinity Ultron cut him in half in What If. Then he got stabbed with his own sword in Multiverse of Madness. Then he died as a zombie in What If. This man has died more times than Kenny from South Park, and I guarantee you the reason they're bringing him back for Secret Wars is so Doctor Doom can kill him. Everyone's expecting them to recreate that famous panel from the comics where Doom just obliterates Thanos to show how powerful he is, and on paper that sounds cool, but in practice, it's just using Thanos as a stepping stone again. It's treating one of your greatest villains as a punching bag to make someone else look strong. And here's what really bothers me about this. It shows that Marvel doesn't know how to establish a villain's power without comparing them to Thanos. They did it with Infinity Ultron. They did it with Scarlet Witch in Multiverse of Madness. They were probably going to do it with Kang before everything fell apart. And now they're doing it with Doom. Doctor Doom doesn't need to kill Thanos to be intimidating. He's Doctor Doom. He's one of the greatest comic book villains of all time. If your only way to make him seem powerful is to have him beat up Thanos, then you don't understand the character. You want to know what would actually be more impressive? Have Thanos bend the knee to Doom. Have Thanos, the mad titan who destroyed half the universe, acknowledge that Doom is more powerful than him and submit. That would be way more interesting than just killing him again. But I don't think Marvel's going to do that because they're obsessed with spectacle over substance. This announcement reveals that Marvel is still stuck in the past, still defining everything in relation to the Infinity Saga instead of moving forward. And that's why it's at the bottom of my list. At number 4, we have the announcement that a new Black Panther will be introduced in Secret Wars, and Marvel has been meeting with actors to play T'Challa Jr. Now this one is complicated. On one hand, I think introducing T'Challa Jr. is probably the best solution to a very difficult situation. You can't recast T'Challa. Chadwick Boseman's performance was too iconic and it would feel disrespectful. But you also can't just never have another male Black Panther. So having his son take up the mantle is a reasonable compromise. But here's why this is still at number 4. It feels safe. It feels like Marvel taking the path of least resistance instead of actually committing to something bold. And the timing is weird, right? We just had Wakanda Forever 2 years ago, where they established Shuri as the new Black Panther, and now we're already moving on to introduce T'Challa Jr. It makes me wonder if Marvel has faith in Shuri as Black Panther, or if they're already looking to replace her because they think audiences want a male Black Panther. And if that's the case, that's kind of insulting to both Shuri as a character and to Letitia Wright, who did a great job in Wakanda Forever. I'm not saying this is a bad decision, I'm just saying it feels reactive rather than proactive. It feels like Marvel is responding to pressure instead of confidently moving forward with a plan. And when you're constantly reacting to criticism instead of executing a vision, that's when you get into trouble. So yeah, number 4, could be good, could be bad, mostly just feels safe, Coming in at number 3, we got the announcement that there are even more villains in Spider-Man 4 that we don't know about yet. We already knew about Scorpion, Tombstone, the Hulk, and Punisher, but apparently there are more that haven't been revealed. Now, normally I'd be worried about this. Too many villains is usually a recipe for disaster. Spider-Man 3, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, we've seen this go wrong before, but I'm actually cautiously optimistic about this one, and here's why. First, Destin Daniel Cretton, the director, said this movie is a complete tonal shift from the Homecoming trilogy. It's darker, more grounded, more street level. And that makes sense for a movie with this many villains because it sounds like they're doing a Sinister Six or Prison Break type story where most of these villains are just going to be part of a larger sequence rather than all getting individual arcs. Second, this is exactly the direction Spider-Man should be going post No Way Home. Peter is alone. He's struggling. He's dealing with the consequences of his choices. A street-level story where he's facing multiple threats at once fits that narrative perfectly. My only concern is whether Marvel can actually pull this off without it feeling bloated. But given that this is Spider-Man, and Spider-Man movies have been pretty consistently good, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt here. So number 3, potentially great, but I need to see it to believe it. At number 2, the Daredevil Born Again Season 2 trailer is supposedly dropping this week. And honestly, this is the announcement I'm most genuinely excited about with no reservations. Season 1 of Born Again was messy because it was 2 different shows stitched together, but you could see the potential in those later episodes. And Season 2 was filmed entirely by the team that saved Season 1, which means we're finally getting a full season of what Daredevil Born Again is supposed to be. Plus, Jessica Jones is coming back. The suit looks incredible. The story of Matt being outlawed and becoming a symbol sounds perfect. Everything about this just works. The only reason this isn't number 1 is because it's just a trailer announcement, not actual footage. But when that trailer drops, I'm gonna lose my mind. And at number 1, actually nothing. Because here's the thing. Out of the 4 major announcements this week, only one of them is actually unambiguously good, the Daredevil trailer. Everything else ranges from could be fine to actively bad. And that's the problem with Marvel right now. They keep making announcements that sound exciting on the surface but reveal concerning patterns when you actually think about them. Bringing back Thanos shows they can't move past the Infinity Saga. The Black Panther casting shows they're playing it safe instead of being bold. Even the Spider-Man stuff, which I'm optimistic about, is still we'll see. This is exactly what happened in Phase 4 and Phase 5. Marvel kept making announcements, kept generating hype, and then the actual projects were disappointing because they didn't have a clear vision. They were just throwing stuff at the wall and hoping something stuck. And I'm worried we're seeing the same pattern again. Lots of announcements, lots of hype, but is there actually a plan? Or are they just bringing back popular characters and hoping nostalgia carries them through? Look, I want to be excited about all of this. I want Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars to be amazing. I want the new Black Panther to be great. I want Spider-Man 4 to knock it out of the park. But Marvel has to earn that excitement. They have to show us they've learned from their mistakes. And these announcements don't convince me they have. They convince me Marvel is falling back on old habits. Nostalgia, spectacle, playing it safe. And that's not what the MCU needs right now. So let me know in the comments, am I being too harsh? Do you think these announcements are actually good signs for Marvel's future? Or do you agree that they're revealing some concerning patterns? If you made it this far, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one where I continue to have complicated feelings about Marvel's decisions. Peace.